As a clinical psychologist, I'm growing increasingly concerned about one trend. Our youth believe they are broken, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Why do I say this? Because 42% of Gen Zs have been diagnosed with a psychological disorder. 42%. With 26 of those percent of those diagnoses coming from since COVID. I don't know about you, but that is concerning for me. And as I work with our Gen Z, I'm more and more concerned about this. And I think here are the three reasons why they believe they are broken. First, schools are adopting trauma-focused programming. For instance, I know that there's two schools in my area who brought on and spent six figures each on this programming. And when one of my clients told me about it, I just was like, this is not going to work. And it made me so frustrated that these two school districts dropped six figures on programming that I knew based off the gist of it from my client, it wasn't going to work. Here's why it wasn't going to work. Because the whole program was, if a child becomes frustrated, angry, sad, mad, whatever kind of negative emotion, they were allowed to leave the classroom for whatever amount of time. And the reason why my client was telling me this was because her child didn't like math. And so whenever they just wanted to leave math, they'd be like, hey, I'm frustrated. And the teacher would be like, okay, go ahead and leave the room. And then shocker, the kid didn't do well in math and ended up failing math. And I was like, oh my goodness. Fast forward like a year or two, and neither school has continued this programming. One school, the main guy who created this program, was banned from all teacher connections with teachers or meetings with teachers because the teachers were so frustrated with him. And then the other school, one of my friends was like, hey, what's the research behind this? And the guy was like, funny you ask. I'm going to have you guys collect the research. And I'm like, oh my God. No, let's not, because these trauma-informed or these trauma-focused programming tells our kids that they are broken, that they are all traumatized, and it's just not true. A very, very small percentage of youth experience actual trauma, and they should receive treatment for it if they develop PTSD. But the vast majority of our students in schools aren't traumatized. So let them be and stop telling them that they are traumatized, because it's just communicating to them that they are broken and that there's nothing that they can do about it. The second culprit for why Gen Z perceives that they are broken is helicopter parents. We are going in and we are trying to, not me, I'm not a helicopter parent, but helicopter parents are going in and trying to protect their children from all of the bad things, and don't do that and don't do that. And what's happening is that the helicopter parents are causing their children not to trust themselves and their body. So I had a conversation with a client just the other day, and she's like, well, my son he wants to climb trees. And I was like, let him climb trees. And she's like, well, I don't I don't want him to get hurt. And I'm like, so you're telling him not to trust his body and what he's able to do? And she's like, well, he climbed 40 feet. And I'm like, well, then set parameters. Don't just be like, you can't climb trees. Because he was able to do it safely before, he can do it again. And let's put parameters around that, and let's allow our youth to trust themselves, because if we don't allow them to trust their own bodies and what they can and cannot do, and if we don't allow them the freedom to kind of explore and figure out what they can do, guess what? They're going to develop obsessive compulsive disorder, because the big thing with that is they don't trust themselves. They don't trust their own bodies and their senses. The third culprit is social media algorithms. So I don't know if you know this, if hopefully maybe you do. If you don't, education for you is that whenever you stop whenever you're scrolling through social media and you stop on anything with a psychological disorder, the algorithm will just feed you more of that information. And then what happens is it starts feeding you more and more information about psychological disorders. And then what happens is we're like, oh, maybe I do have ADHD. Oh, maybe I do have OCD. Oh, maybe I am bipolar. And it's like, oh my goodness. No, I cannot tell you the number of times people have come in and they're like, I think I have ADHD. And I'm like, why? And they're like, TikTok told me so. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Algorithms, they again are telling us that they are broken, or that Gen Z is broken, and that they have all of these psychological disorders, and it's just driving me bonkers because they're not broken. They just don't have, they're ill-equipped, they're under-equipped, they don't have the coping skills that they need to take on this world, and we need to give that to them. So here are 3 solutions, one for each of the culprits. Schools, bring in adaptability programming. Programming that's like, hey, these are the skills that you need to develop in order to succeed in life, and that's what we want you to have. Resiliency, adaptability, that's what we want. Get rid of trauma-focused programming. It doesn't work. It just communicates that our youth are broken. Don't do it. Adaptability, resiliency programming, that's what we want to bring in. Those are the speakers. Those are the workshops that we want to bring in, because that's going to communicate to our youth adaptability. You can get better. You can growth mindset, all of those things. Parents, number 2, high expectations within the context of the warm and fuzzies. Set those high expectations, give them the context of within the context of the warm and fuzzies, and let them explore what they can do with their bodies. And if they get hurt, they're okay. If they break a bone, that's okay. Here's the thing, I'd much rather them break a bone than feel like they themselves are broken. Wouldn't you? Broken bones are fixable. It takes up a hell of a lot more time and a hell of a lot more money, and you seeing me one-on-one if your child perceives or believes that they are broken. Bones fix quicker than mindsets. Third solution, teach kids about social media algorithms. And like, hey, if you pause on something, it's going to feed you more of that. So, hey, maybe watch comedy stuff. Hey, maybe watch happy stuff. Don't stop on things that, are telling you that you are broken and that you are negative and that you are bad and all of these things and you are traumatized. Stop pausing on those things, because it's just going to feed you more and more and more. And then that's all you're going to see. You have to cultivate your social media news feeds, your algorithm, to feed you positive things to do well in life. And by doing these things, by bringing in adaptability programming to schools, parents allowing their children to explore and teaching them about social media algorithms, this is how we're going to communicate that they are adaptable, that they have the skills that they need to meet these high expectations and to thrive and succeed in life. And I want to share something with you. I was working with a Gen Z client recently, and after 4 sessions, this is what her parent sent to me. Dr. Mata has given her much hope to be able to be herself again in the future. She wants to live again without fear, and I can see some hope in her again. When I read this, tears filled my eyes, because this client perceived that she was broken. And after 4 sessions, I was able to communicate to her that you are not broken. You just need to learn adaptability skills. And by doing this, we're going to be throat punching this Gen Z mental health crisis. Let's go.